shattered glass. The night everything changed. Maya Rodriguez stood in the center of the grand ballroom, champagne glass trembling in her hand. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, casting warm light on 200 guests who had come to celebrate her engagement. Her mother had spent months planning this party. Every detail was perfect, from the white roses cascading down the walls to the string quartet playing softly in the corner. Everything was perfect, except for one small detail. Her fiancé Marcus was missing. Maya smoothed down her emerald dress and smiled at another well-wisher, her face aching from holding the expression for the past hour. Marcus had excused himself 30 minutes ago to take an important business call. That's what he said, anyway. Marcus always had important business calls, even on their engagement night. Have you seen Marcus? Maya's mother appeared beside her, her expression tight with barely concealed worry. People are starting to ask questions. I'm sure he'll be back any minute, Maya said, the lie tasting bitter on her tongue. But something felt wrong. That familiar knot of anxiety that had been growing in her stomach for months pulled tighter. The late nights Marcus spent at the office. The way he'd started guarding his phone. The perfume she sometimes smelled on his clothes that wasn't hers. Maya had told herself she was being paranoid. Marcus loved her. They'd been together for 4 years. He proposed in front of her entire family. People shattered glass. The night everything changed. Maya Rodriguez stood in the center of the grand ballroom, champagne glass trembling in her hand. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, casting warm light on 200 guests who had come to celebrate. Who loved you didn't humiliate you like that. Except maybe they did. Following the trail. Maya set down her champagne glass and slipped through the crowd. No one noticed. They were all too busy enjoying the open bar and expensive appetizers. She moved toward the back hallway where the private rooms were located, her heels clicking against marble floors. That's when she heard it. Laughter. A woman's laughter, light and familiar, coming from behind the door of the library. And then Marcus's voice, low and intimate in a way that made Maya's blood run cold. She should have walked away. Should have gone back to the party and pretended everything was fine. But her hand was already reaching for the door handle, already pushing it open. The scene that greeted her would replay in her mind for months afterward. Marcus pressed against the bookshelf, his jacket discarded on the floor. And in his arms, her face flushed and lipstick smeared, was Sophia Chen, Maya's best friend since college. For a moment, no one moved. The three of them frozen in a terrible tableau. Then Sophia gasped and pushed away from Marcus, her hand flying to her mouth. Maya, I can explain, Marcus started, but his words sounded hollow even to his own ears. Maya stood there, unable to speak. Unable to breathe. She looked at Sophia, the woman who had helped her pick out her wedding dress, who had been her maid of honor. How long? Maya finally managed to ask. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. 6 months. 6 months. Maya's engagement ring suddenly felt heavy on her finger. 6 months meant every double date, every girls' night, every time Sophia had hugged her and told her how lucky she was, had been a lie. Maya, please, Marcus moved toward her. It didn't mean anything. Sophia and we just. Get away from me. Maya's voice came out stronger than she felt. She twisted the engagement ring off her finger and threw it at him. It bounced off his chest and clattered to the floor. Both of you, stay away from me. She turned and ran, not caring that she could hear the music still playing in the ballroom, not caring that 200 people were waiting for her to cut the engagement cake. She just ran. The morning after. Maya woke up on her sister Elena's couch, still wearing her emerald dress. Sunlight streamed through the windows, too bright and cheerful for how she felt. Her phone sat on the coffee table, screen dark, but she knew what she'd find if she turned it on. Messages. Calls. Questions. The story had spread fast. By midnight, everyone knew. Marcus's father had made an announcement, apologizing for the disruption and sending everyone home. Maya had heard all this from Elena, who had found her sitting in her car in the parking lot, unable to drive. Coffee? Elena appeared in the doorway, already dressed for work. Maya sat up slowly, every muscle in her body aching. What time is it? 9:30. I called your office. Told them you had a family emergency. Elena set a mug on the table. You should probably take the whole week. Maya laughed, the sound brittle. That'll be interesting, considering Marcus's father owns the company. Elena's face fell. Oh, Maya. The reality of her situation was starting to sink in. She worked in marketing at Wilson Enterprises, the company run by Marcus's father, James Wilson. She'd gotten the job 2 years ago, and while she'd always worked hard, there was no denying that being Marcus's girlfriend had helped her career. I need to call them, Maya said. Resign properly before they fire me. You don't know that they'll. Elena, I threw an engagement ring at his son in the middle of our engagement party. I'm pretty sure I'm already fired. She was right. When Maya called that afternoon, James Wilson's assistant informed her that her position had been terminated, effective immediately. No explanation given. No severance offered. For years with Marcus, 2 years at the company, and just like that, Maya had nothing. Rock bottom. The next 3 weeks were the darkest of Maya's life. She couldn't afford her apartment without her salary, so she moved in with Elena. Her savings disappeared quickly, eaten up by bills she could no longer pay. Job applications went unanswered. The few interviews she managed to secure ended badly. The problem was Marcus. He'd started a campaign to protect his reputation by destroying hers. He told people Maya had been unstable, jealous, controlling. He painted himself as the victim who'd found comfort in Sophia's arms because Maya had been so difficult. And people believed him. Marcus came from money and power. Maya was just the girl who'd gotten lucky, then blown it. She stopped leaving Elena's apartment. Stopped answering calls from her mother, who couldn't understand why Maya wouldn't just forgive Marcus and save the family from embarrassment. Stopped looking at social media, where pictures of Marcus and Sophia together were already appearing, with comments about how happy they looked. Maya had never felt so alone. On a Tuesday morning 4 weeks after the engagement party, Elena dragged Maya out of bed. You have a job interview today. I can't. Maya pulled the blanket over her head. I can't do this anymore, Elena. Yes, you can. You're going to shower, put on that navy suit, and go to this interview. And you're going to remember that you're Maya Rodriguez, and you don't give up. But the interview went exactly as Maya expected. She sat across from a woman named Jennifer Harris, who looked at her resume with barely concealed skepticism. Your last position was at Wilson Enterprises, Jennifer said. Can you explain why you left? Maya had prepared an answer, something professional and diplomatic. But sitting there, facing another rejection, something inside her broke. Because I caught my fiancé cheating with my best friend at our engagement party, and his father owns the company, so I got fired. Is that what you want to hear? Jennifer's expression didn't change. I see. Well, I don't think you're quite the right fit for our company culture. Thank you for coming in. The stranger in the coffee shop. Maya sat in the coffee shop across from Jennifer's office, staring at nothing. She had $17 left in her bank account. No job. No prospects. No idea what she was going to do next. Excuse me, is this seat taken? Maya looked up. A man stood beside her table, holding a coffee cup and a laptop bag. He was tall, probably in his early 30s, with dark hair and sharp gray eyes. He wore an expensive suit but carried himself with an ease that suggested he didn't care much about the impression he made. It's all yours, Maya said dully. The man sat down and opened his laptop, but Maya noticed he kept glancing at her. Finally, he spoke again. I was in the building across the street. I saw you come out of Stellar Marketing. Maya stiffened. And? And I saw your interview before mine. Watched through the glass wall. He took a sip of his coffee. Jennifer Harris is terrible at reading people. She just cost her company someone valuable. You don't know anything about me. I know you told the truth when you could have lied. I know you kept your composure even though you wanted to walk out. And I know Jennifer Harris is about to hire someone who plagiarized half their portfolio. He smiled slightly. I do my research. Maya studied him, suspicious. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm looking for someone with your skill set. Someone honest. Someone who's not afraid to start over. He pulled out a business card and slid it across the table. My name is Ethan Cross. I run a business consulting firm in Chicago. We're small but growing fast. I need someone who understands marketing, branding, and isn't afraid to take risks. Maya looked at the card. The address was in Chicago, 6 hours away from everything she knew. You're offering me a job? You don't even know me. I know enough. You have a marketing degree from Northwestern. You increased Wilson Enterprises' social media engagement by 200% in your first year. You've won 3 industry awards. And right now, you're angry enough to want to prove everyone wrong. Ethan leaned back in his chair. That's exactly what I need. This is insane, Maya said. You can't just offer a job to a stranger in a coffee shop. Why not? Traditional hiring hasn't worked out well for you, has it? Ethan's expression was challenging. The job pays $75,000 to start, with performance bonuses. I'll cover your moving expenses. You'll have full creative control over our marketing strategy. All I ask is that you give me 1 year. Maya's heart was pounding. This had to be some kind of joke. Or a scam. Or something worse. What's the catch? The catch is that you'll work harder than you ever have. The catch is that I expect excellence, not excuses. The catch is that if you take this job, you can't look back. No dwelling on what happened. No letting your past define your future. Ethan stood up, collecting his laptop. Think about it. My contact information is on the card. You have 48 hours to decide. He walked out, leaving Maya sitting alone with a business card and a choice. She could stay here, in the ruins of her old life, letting Marcus and Sophia and everyone else's opinions define her. Or she could take a risk on a stranger and a new city and the terrifying possibility that she might actually become someone new. Maya pulled out her phone and Googled Ethan Cross. The search results were impressive. His company, Cross Consulting, specialized in turning around struggling businesses. He'd started it 5 years ago with nothing and had built it into a multi-million-dollar operation. Every article praised his unconventional methods and his ability to spot talent others overlooked. At the bottom of the first page of results, Maya found something else. A photo from 3 years ago, Ethan and another man who looked similar, probably his brother. The caption mentioned a lawsuit and a business rival named Marcus Wilson. Maya's breath caught. That couldn't be a coincidence. Marcus had mentioned having conflicts with other companies, but he'd never mentioned names. Had Ethan sought her out deliberately? Was this job offer real, or was she walking into another trap? But looking around the empty coffee shop, at her reflection in the window, Maya realized something. She had nothing left to lose. And maybe, just maybe, that meant she had everything to gain. She picked up her phone and typed a message, I accept. When do I start? The response came within seconds, pack your bags. I'll see you in Chicago on Monday. Maya sat back, her heart racing, a strange mixture of terror and exhilaration flooding through her. For the first time in 4 weeks, she felt something other than despair. She felt something dangerous and powerful and entirely new. She felt ready to become someone else, someone stronger. Someone who would make everyone who'd underestimated her regret it. The old Maya Rodriguez had died in that library 4 weeks ago. But maybe, in Chicago, a new Maya could be born. One who wrote her own story instead of being a footnote in someone else's. Part 2, Rising Phoenix. 6 months later. Maya Rodriguez no longer recognized the woman in the mirror. The reflection staring back wore a tailored black suit that fit like armor. Her hair, once long and uncertain, now fell in a sleek cut that framed her face with confidence. But the biggest change wasn't physical. It was in her eyes. They held a sharpness, a determination that hadn't existed before. Ready for today's presentation? Ethan appeared in the doorway of her office, holding 2 coffee cups. He'd developed the habit of bringing her coffee every morning, always exactly how she liked it. Maya turned from the window overlooking Chicago's skyline. "I've been ready since 5 a.m. The Hartman account is ours." "Don't get overconfident," Ethan warned, but he was smiling. "Remember what happened with the Patterson deal?" "I know. I triple-checked everything this time." Maya took the offered coffee. "Besides, I learned from the best." The past 6 months had transformed her in ways she never imagined possible. Ethan hadn't lied about the work being hard. He pushed her constantly, challenging every idea, questioning every strategy. But he also taught her things no marketing class ever had. How to read a room. How to spot weakness in a competitor's plan. How to turn a disadvantage into an opportunity. Cross-consulting had grown under their combined efforts. Maya's creative marketing strategies, paired with Ethan's business instincts, had helped save 3 failing companies and launch 2 successful startups. She'd proven herself valuable, essential even. And slowly, the woman who'd been broken and discarded had built herself into something new. "There's something else on the agenda today," Ethan said, his tone shifting. "I wanted to talk to you before the board meeting." Maya set down her coffee, sensing the change in his demeanor. "What is it?" "Wilson Enterprises is in trouble. Their stock has dropped 40% in the last quarter. They're bleeding clients." Ethan pulled out a folder and handed it to her. "They're looking for a buyer." Maya's hand froze halfway to the folder. "Marcus's company." "Your old company," Ethan corrected. "I've been monitoring their situation for a while. They made some bad investments, lost several major accounts. James Wilson is getting desperate." Maya opened the folder with shaking hands. Inside were financial reports, news articles, and internal memos that painted a picture of a company in crisis. The same company that had fired her, that had let Marcus destroy her reputation, was now crumbling. "Why are you showing me this?" Maya asked, though she already knew the answer. "Because Cross Consulting has the capital to make an acquisition. And because I wanted to give you the choice." Ethan met her eyes. "We could save them, restructure the company, turn it around. Or we could watch them fall. Or we could acquire them and put you in charge of the very place that threw you away." The idea sent a thrill of dark satisfaction through Maya. To walk back into Wilson Enterprises not as Marcus's ex-girlfriend, not as the girl who'd been discarded, but as the woman who owned it. The revenge would be perfect. "What do you think I should do?" Maya asked carefully. Ethan was quiet for a moment. "I think revenge is tempting. I think it would feel good. But I also think you should ask yourself if that's really what you want. Because once you go down that road, Maya, it changes you." There was something in his voice, something personal. Maya had learned enough about Ethan over the past 6 months to know he had his own history with revenge, though he never talked about it. Whatever had happened with his brother and Marcus Wilson, it still haunted him. "How much time do I have to decide?" Maya asked. "The board wants an answer by next week. But first, there's something else you need to know." Ethan hesitated. "There's a business conference in New York this weekend. Wilson Enterprises will be there, trying to drum up investor interest. Marcus will be presenting." Maya's stomach tightened. She hadn't seen Marcus since that night. hadn't spoken to him despite his attempts to reach out. The thought of facing him now, as the woman she'd become, was both terrifying and exhilarating. "Are we attending?" Maya asked. "Only if you want to." Maya thought about it. About the woman she'd been 6 months ago, crying in her sister's apartment, believing her life was over. About the woman she was now, standing in an office overlooking the city, holding the power to decide the fate of the people who'd hurt her. "Book our flights," Maya said. "It's time to show them who I've become." The business conference. The Grand Plaza Hotel in Manhattan was hosting the East Coast Business Summit, an annual event where companies networked, pitched investors, and formed partnerships. Maya had attended once before, 3 years ago, as Marcus's plus one. She'd felt small then, insignificant. Just grateful to be in the room. Walking in now felt entirely different. She wore a burgundy dress that cost more than her entire wardrobe used to, her hair and makeup professionally done. Ethan walked beside her in a sharp charcoal suit, and together they looked like exactly what they were: successful, powerful, untouchable. "There's the Wilson Enterprises booth," Ethan murmured, nodding toward a display across the room. "Do you want to?" "Not yet," Maya said. "Let him see me first. Let him wonder." They spent the next hour networking, and Maya felt eyes following her throughout the room. She'd become good at this, at commanding attention, at making people want to talk to her. It was a skill she'd never known she possessed. "Maya Rodriguez? Is that really you?" The voice made her spine stiffen. She turned slowly to find Marcus Wilson staring at her, his expression somewhere between shock and disbelief. He looked older. The confidence he'd always carried had a brittle edge now. His suit was expensive, but he wore it with less assurance. The past 6 months hadn't been kind to him either. "Marcus," Maya said coolly, her voice giving away nothing. "I almost didn't recognize you. You look different." His eyes swept over her, taking in the changes. "I heard you left town. Heard you moved to Chicago." "I did. Are you here with someone?" Marcus's eyes flicked to Ethan, who stood slightly behind her, watchful. "I'm here on business," Maya said. "This is Ethan Cross. He's my business partner." Marcus's face paled slightly. "Cross Consulting. I've heard of you. You've been making waves." "We try," Ethan said mildly. Marcus looked between them, confusion and something else, fear, maybe, crossing his features. "Maya, I've been trying to reach you. We need to talk." "About what happened?" "There's nothing to talk about," Maya said. "What happened, happened. I've moved on." "Have you?" "Because from what I hear, you've done more than move on. You've become quite successful." "The" was an edge to Marcus's voice now. "Almost overnight, from what people say. Makes me wonder how you managed that." The implication hung in the air. Ethan tensed beside her, but Maya felt oddly calm. She'd expected this. Expected Marcus to try to diminish her success, to suggest she'd slept her way into it or cheated somehow. He couldn't accept that she'd simply become better than him. "Hard work," Maya said simply. "You should try it sometime." Marcus's jaw tightened. "I wanted to apologize. For how things ended. Sophia and I don't care about Sophia. I don't care about you. I'm here for business, not personal drama." Maya started to turn away. "Wait." Marcus grabbed her arm. "Please. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." Ethan stepped forward, his voice low and dangerous. "Let her go." Marcus released her arm but didn't back down. "You don't understand. My father's company is in trouble. I need help. I need money," Maya finished. "Yes, I know. Your presentation today is an attempt to secure emergency funding. It's not going well." Marcus stared at her. "How do you know that?" Because I pay attention, Marcus. Something you never did. Maya met his eyes squarely. Cross Consulting is considering acquiring Wilson Enterprises. So yes, I've done my homework. I know exactly how much trouble you're in. The color drained from Marcus's face. You can't be serious. You're going to buy my father's company? Maybe. We haven't decided yet. Depends on whether we think it's worth saving. Maya's smile was cold. Don't worry. If we do acquire it, I'm sure we'll find a place for you. Maybe in the mailroom. She walked away, Ethan beside her, leaving Marcus standing alone in the middle of the crowded ballroom. Her heart was pounding, adrenaline surging through her veins. That had felt good. Too good. That was harsh, Ethan said quietly. He deserved it. Maybe. But be careful, Maya. Revenge has a way of consuming you. Maya was about to respond when a familiar voice called her name. She turned to see Sophia Chen walking toward her, looking nervous and uncertain. The old friend. Sophia had changed too, but not in the same way. She looked tired, her designer clothes hanging slightly loose on her frame. The sparkle she'd always carried was gone. Maya, please don't walk away. I need to talk to you. Sophia's voice was pleading. Maya felt Ethan's questioning glance. She nodded slightly, and he stepped back, giving them space but staying close enough to intervene if needed. What do you want, Sophia? Maya asked, her voice flat. I want to apologize. Really apologize, not just the texts I sent that you never answered. Sophia twisted her hands together. What I did was unforgivable. You were my best friend, and I betrayed you in the worst possible way. Yes, you did. I know saying sorry doesn't fix anything. But I need you to know that I regret it every day. Marcus and it didn't work out. He cheated on me too, 3 months after your engagement party. With his assistant. Maya felt nothing at this revelation. No satisfaction, no vindication. Just emptiness. I'm sorry that happened to you. Sophia looked surprised. You are? I'm sorry that you had to learn the same lesson I did. That Marcus Wilson only cares about Marcus Wilson. Maya studied her former friend. But I'm not sorry enough to forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Tears filled Sophia's eyes. I understand. I just wanted you to know that seeing what you've become, how successful you are, it makes me happy. You deserved better than both of us. I know I did. Maya's voice softened slightly. Sophia, I hope you find whatever you're looking for. But I can't be part of your life anymore. That door is closed. Sophia nodded, wiping her eyes. For what it's worth, Marcus's father's company is failing because of Marcus. He's made terrible decisions, driven away their best clients. His father is sick, and Marcus is running everything into the ground. If you acquire the company, you'd be saving a lot of innocent people's jobs. She walked away before Maya could respond, disappearing into the crowd. Maya stood there, processing the conversation. You okay? Ethan appeared beside her. I don't know, Maya admitted. I thought seeing them would feel different. I thought I'd feel victorious, but I just feel empty. That's because revenge isn't about them, Ethan said quietly. It's about you. And the question you need to answer is, who do you want to become? The woman who destroys the people who hurt her, or the woman who builds something better? Maya looked at him, really looked at him. Over the past 6 months, Ethan had become more than just her boss. He'd become her mentor, her friend, and lately, something more. She'd noticed the way he looked at her sometimes, the way his touch lingered when they worked late, the way he seemed to know exactly what she needed before she asked. What happened with your brother? Maya asked suddenly. With Marcus Wilson? Ethan's expression closed off. That's not important right now. It is to me. You know everything about what Marcus did to me, but you've never told me why you really offered me that job. It wasn't just because you saw me at an interview. Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he sighed. My brother Alex was in business with Marcus 5 years ago. They were partners in a real estate venture. Marcus stole everything, claimed Alex had embezzled funds, destroyed his reputation. Alex couldn't find work anywhere. He fell into depression. Maya's heart sank. Where is he now? He moved to Oregon, started over. Took him 3 years to rebuild his life. And the whole time, I watched Marcus Wilson get richer and more successful, and I wanted revenge. Ethan met her eyes. So yes, when I saw you coming out of that interview, when I researched you and found out who your fiancé was, I saw an opportunity. I thought maybe we could take him down together. Maya felt the ground shift beneath her. So you used me. I planned to, Ethan admitted. But then I got to know you. I watched you work harder than anyone I've ever seen. I watched you transform yourself through pure determination and talent. And I realized that you were so much more than a tool for revenge. You were extraordinary, and you deserved to know that. When did you change your mind? Maya asked, her voice tight. The night you closed the Harrison deal 3 months ago. You were so happy, so proud of yourself, and I realized that helping you succeed had become more important to me than destroying Marcus ever was. Ethan stepped closer. Maya, I know I should have told you sooner. I know starting this relationship on that foundation was wrong. But everything I've taught you, everything we've built together, that's been real. Maya turned away, her mind racing. Part of her was angry, feeling used and manipulated. But another part understood. After all, hadn't she come to Chicago partly wanting to prove Marcus wrong, to show him what he'd lost? I need time to think, Maya said finally. About everything. The acquisition, us, all of it. Take all the time you need, Ethan said softly. But Maya? Whatever you decide about Wilson Enterprises, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Don't let Marcus control your choices, even in defeat. Maya walked back to her hotel room alone, her mind churning. She stood at the window, looking out at the New York skyline, and thought about the woman she'd been and the woman she'd become. 6 months ago, she'd been broken, convinced her life was over. Now she held the power to destroy the man who'd destroyed her. But standing there, thinking about Marcus's desperate face, about Sophia's regrets, about Ethan's confession, Maya realized something. She didn't want revenge anymore. She wanted something better. She wanted to build something that mattered, something that had nothing to do with Marcus Wilson or the past. She wanted to write her own story, one where she was the hero, not because she'd defeated her enemies, but because she'd become the best version of herself. But first, she had to figure out if she could forgive Ethan for his deception, and if what they'd built together could survive the truth. The decision ahead of her felt bigger than just business. It felt like choosing who she wanted to be for the rest of her life. Part 3, The Art of Becoming. The Decision. Maya spent 3 days after the conference avoiding Ethan. She worked from home, claiming she needed time to review the Wilson Enterprises acquisition proposal. It wasn't entirely a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth either. The truth was she didn't know how to face him yet. On the 4th morning, Ethan showed up at her apartment building with coffee and determination. "We need to talk," he said when she opened the door. "And before you say no, I'm not leaving until we do. I'll stand in this hallway all day if I have to." Maya sighed and stepped aside to let him in. Her apartment was small but beautiful, overlooking Lake Michigan. She'd decorated it carefully over the past months, making it a space that felt entirely hers. They sat on opposite ends of her couch, the coffee cups on the table between them like a demilitarized zone. "I'm listening," Maya said finally. Ethan ran his hand through his hair, a gesture she'd learned meant he was nervous. "I was wrong not to tell you from the beginning why I offered you the job. I was wrong to use your connection to Marcus as my initial motivation. But Maya, I need you to understand that everything that happened after that first day was real. How do I know that? Maya asked. How do I know that any of this wasn't just about getting back at Marcus through me? Because if it was just about revenge, I would have pushed you toward the acquisition harder. I would have encouraged your anger instead of warning you away from it. Ethan leaned forward. I fell for you somewhere along the way. Maya. I fell for your brilliance, your determination, your capacity to reinvent yourself. And I realized that what I wanted most wasn't to destroy Marcus, but to build something real with you. Maya's heart was pounding. They'd danced around this for months, this thing growing between them. Late nights working together, casual touches that lasted too long, conversations that went deeper than business required. But neither had spoken it aloud. When? Maya asked softly. When did it change for you? Ethan smiled slightly. Remember that terrible client meeting 2 months ago? The one where Peterson called you sweetheart and suggested you take notes while the men talked? Maya remembered. She'd been furious, ready to walk out. But Ethan had done something unexpected. He'd stood up, ended the meeting, and told Peterson that if he couldn't treat his business partner with respect, Cross Consulting wasn't interested in his business. They'd walked away from a $2 million deal. You stood up for me, Maya said. You didn't need me to. You were perfectly capable of destroying Peterson yourself. But I wanted to. Not because you were my employee, but because you mattered to me. Because the thought of anyone diminishing you made me irrationally angry. Ethan's gray eyes met hers. That's when I knew I was in trouble. That I'd crossed a line I couldn't uncross. Maya was quiet, processing. She thought about the past 6 months, about every interaction with Ethan. Looking back, she could see the pattern of his behavior changing. The way he started bringing her coffee just how she liked it. The way he'd find excuses to work late when she did. The way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't paying attention. I'm scared, Maya admitted. 6 months ago, I thought I knew someone, thought I was building a life with him, and it all fell apart. How do I trust this? How do I trust you? You don't have to trust me completely, not yet. Trust takes time to build, and I'm willing to wait. Ethan moved slightly closer. But I'm asking you not to let what Marcus did stop you from taking chances. Not to let his betrayal close you off from something that could be real. Maya looked at him, really looked at him. Ethan Cross was nothing like Marcus. Where Marcus had been charming and smooth, Ethan was direct and sometimes rough around the edges. Where Marcus had made her feel lucky to be with him, Ethan made her feel like an equal. Where Marcus had diminished her, Ethan had built her up. I need you to promise me something, Maya said. Anything. No more secrets. No more hidden agendas. If we do this, if we try this, it has to be real. Completely real. I promise, Ethan said without hesitation. Complete transparency from here on out. Even when it's uncomfortable. Maya took a deep breath. Okay. Then we try. But slowly. Because I'm still figuring out who I am, and I don't want to lose myself again. The smile that spread across Ethan's face was worth all the fear. He reached out and took her hand, threading his fingers through hers. We'll figure it out together. The final confrontation. The board meeting at Cross Consulting was scheduled for Monday morning. Maya had spent the weekend reviewing all the data on Wilson Enterprises, thinking about what Sophia had said, what Ethan had told her, and most importantly, what she wanted for herself. When Monday arrived, she walked into the conference room with a clarity she'd never felt before. The board members were already seated, waiting. Ethan sat at the head of the table, but he gestured for Maya to lead the presentation. We've been considering the acquisition of Wilson Enterprises, Maya began, pulling up the financial data on the screen. The company is valued at $32 million, down from $90 million 2 years ago. They're losing money quickly, hemorrhaging clients, and without intervention, they'll be bankrupt within 6 months. Sounds like a good opportunity, one board member said. To wait. Ethan moved slightly closer. But I'm asking you not to let what Marcus did stop you from taking chances. Not to let his betrayal close you off from something that could be real. Maya looked at him, really looked at him. Ethan Cross was nothing like Marcus. Where Marcus had been charming and smooth, Ethan was direct and sometimes rough around the edges. Where Marcus had made her feel lucky to be with him, Ethan made her feel like an equal. Where Marcus had diminished her, Ethan had built her up. I need you to promise me something, Maya said. Anything. No more secrets. No more hidden agendas. If we do this, if we try this, it has to be real. Completely real. I promise, Ethan said without hesitation. Complete transparency from here on out. Even when it's uncomfortable. Maya took a deep breath. Okay. Then we try. But slowly. Because I'm still figuring out who I am, and I don't want to lose myself again. The smile that spread across Ethan's face was worth all the fear. He reached out and took her hand, threading his fingers through hers. We'll figure it out together. The final confrontation. The board meeting at Cross Consulting was scheduled for Monday morning. Maya had spent the weekend reviewing all the data on Wilson Enterprises, thinking about what Sophia had said, what Ethan had told her, and most importantly, what she wanted for herself. When Monday arrived, she walked into the conference room with a clarity she'd never felt before. The board members were already seated, waiting. Ethan sat at the head of the table, but he gestured for Maya to lead the presentation. We've been considering the acquisition of Wilson Enterprises, Maya began, pulling up the financial data on the screen. The company is valued at $32 million, down from $90 million 2 years ago. They're losing money quickly, hemorrhaging clients, and without intervention, they'll be bankrupt within 6 months. Sounds like a good opportunity, one board member said.